Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Craig Stern. I've decided I'm going to start making these playthroughs more of a regular thing, rather than simply doing it as sort of a one-off thing to compare with my own games. Simply because I enjoy playing these sorts of games so very much, and I think it would be fun to continue sharing them with you. This game that you see right here is... Here, let's go back to the title screen for a second. This is Fire Emblem: The Sacred Stones. This game came out, I believe, for Game Boy Advanced, maybe? Or maybe even Nintendo DS, but I want to say Game Boy Advance. I actually... this is not the first Fire Emblem that I ever played, but it is a very good one, and I have absolutely no compunctions about showing this game to you, because it is just that fantastic. And let's head to normal. I haven't actually beaten this game, but I've gotten pretty far into it. This one up here, Chapter 16, Ruled by Madness. That was where I left off in my initial playthrough. Yes, that's fine. I know some of you may have been waiting for Shining Force 2, but I think I'm going to do this one first. In an age long past, evil flooded over the land. Creatures awash in the dark tide ran wild, pushing mankind to the brink of annihilation. In its despair, mankind appealed to the heavens, and from a blinding light came hope. And that was the blinding light. The sacred stones. I guess that's the blinding light, I don't know. I'm just guessing. These 5 glorious treasures held the power to dispel evil. The hero Grado and his warriors used the sacred stones to combat evil's darkness. They defeated the Demon King and sealed his soul away within the stones. With the darkness imprisoned, peace returned to Magvel. But this peace would not last. Okay, this part is really... I mean, you get the basic idea. An evil was imprisoned a long time ago, and then everyone forgot about it because it was a long time ago, but now it's coming back. Right? Okay. So I'm not going to read all this, but basically, Renais, that's where you start off. Your characters are the son and daughter of King Fado of Renais. Then there's the Kingdom of Frelia, ruled by Haydn in the northwest. In the eastern part of the continent is a vast desert kingdom of Jahanna, ruled by Queen Ismair. In the northeast is the theocracy of Rouston, which is predictably not that helpful to you. And then we have the Grado Empire, ruled by the stalwart silent Emperor Vigard. These 5 countries house the power of the sacred stones. And then there's Carcino up in the north, who's a mercantile state and is basically useless. Yay! Very exciting. In these times of peace, tales of past conflict have drifted into legend, and memories of the ancient dark arts have all but evaporated, much like spilled beer after a heavy party. It is now the year 803. In an instant, the whole of Magvel is threatened by an unexpected atrocity. The Grado Empire... I'm reading ahead. The largest of the Sacred Stone nations has invaded the Kingdom of Renais under orders from Emperor Vigard. What? Madness! A longtime ally of Grado, Renais is caught off guard, unable to mount any resistance. Like, at all. They can't even say, like, hey, could you maybe stop invading us? No, they can't even do that. Grado's forces move quickly, seizing one territory after another. It's like a blitz in football. Compounding King Fado's worries, his son, Prince Ephraim, has gone missing. Oh dear. That's no good. Grado's momentum carries its armies to the gates of Castle Renais itself. Dear sweet God, what will happen? Oh, Renais will fall, that's what will happen. It is inevitable. Pfft, why didn't I see that coming? And here we go, folks. Prologue. The Fall of Renais. Yeah, this game wastes no time. Things go bad pretty much immediately. Your Majesty, I bear bad news. The castle gate has been breached. Emperor Vigard's forces are within the castle walls. I understand. The garrison has fallen. We've lost contact with Prince Ephraim and can expect no aid from his men. Your Majesty, what are we to do? What else can we do? Order your men to lay down their arms.
Father?
Eirika, are you wearing the bracelet I gave you?
Yes, I have it right here.
Good. Seth. Yes, Your Majesty. Take Eirika and head for Frelia. King Haydn is an honorable man. I trust he will keep you safe. Understood. And what of Your Majesty? Me? I shall remain here. We have long held Grado among our dearest allies, yet now they attack? I must know why. Am I somehow responsible for this? Have I erred in my leadership? Renais is mine to guide. How could I have failed her so?
Father, you can't stay. You mustn't. If you remain behind, then so shall I.
Go now, Seth. Ride. Take her to safety.
Father?
Forgive me, Your Highness. And off goes Seth, and what the heck? Windows, I hate you so much. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that, folks. Ephraim, Eirika, you must survive. Sorry for ruining that dramatic moment with a freaking Windows message. Stupid Microsoft.
General Seth!
Franz, ride ahead and bring word of our coming to Frelia. A single rider has better odds of passing unseen by Grado's men. Convey to the throne all that has happened here and petition for reinforcements.
Understood.
And off rides young Franz. He's going to pump them up as soon as he meets up with Hans. Princess Eirika, we must... Quickly, behind me!
You there, with the girl, tell me, would that be the wayward princess of Renais?
Well, this must be my lucky day. You're a dead man. The wench goes with me. Never.
I am Valter the Moonstone, Grado's finest general.
And you're just a corpse who does not know he is dead. Youch.
Ha! No! Such terrible wounds, and still he holds to his duty.
How entertaining.
Fly away, little man. Fly away.
Try to outrun death. More time to savor the hunt and the kill. Okay, so there is a ton of dialogue in this game, if you haven't figured that out yet. I'm not going to read through all of it, because that would take absolutely forever. And while this game is pretty well written, and I highly recommend reading all the dialogue if you ever get a chance to play it, I'm not going to voice all of it, because A, it would take forever, and B, I think my voice would just straight up die if I were to actually try to read all of this dialogue. Plus, you know, all this downtime is valuable, that's valuable time for me to be commenting on the game. So, the basic gist is he just gave her a rapier, and she's been trained in swordsmanship before by her brother, so she's pretty good to fight. She's not like a great fighter, at least not to start, but she's not terrible either. She can be pretty good later in the game if you take care to build her up. Seth, on the other hand, he starts out the game... Here, I'm going to do a quick save state. He starts out the game ridiculously powerful, and he remains that way for quite some time. But because he's so high level, it's actually a really terrible idea to let him kill any of these enemies, because he will get almost no experience for it. And that is obviously bad when you have someone who you really, really need to be leveling up, i.e. Eirika. So here's the deal. If she attacks this guy, she will kill him, but he will have a 39% chance to hit her and deal 9 damage. You can sort of see this in that thing on the left side of the screen, right, where it says hit. She has 100% chance to hit him, and she has 2 attacks. That's that floating ×2 there. he has a 39% chance to hit her, and only one attack, but she only has 16 hit points. And after he goes, the other characters behind him will get to go, and it is entirely possible that Eirika will just straight up get killed if he hits her, and she kills him, and then the next guy comes up and hits her. This is kind of the core of Fire Emblem's gameplay, is you're constantly weighing risks. And I love the way this game is designed. It makes it so clear to you exactly what you're putting on the line in any given turn. It shows you everything from hit percentages and the damage everyone will deal to where enemies can move. Like, all the blue spaces are places where this guy can move, red spaces are places he can attack after moving to the full extent of his move range. This game is just brilliantly designed like that. So even though I'm not a huge fan, generally, of randomized combat, I feel like this game is so well done in that regard that I don't even mind. Like, yeah, there's a lot of randomization in how combat works, but the game is just so clear about what exactly the consequences of all of your moves are. And I really love that. So here's another quick lesson on playing Fire Emblem. Do you see that in the bottom left where it says Plain, Defense 0, Avoid 0, Peak, Defense 2, Avoid 40? There are different kinds of terrain. It's a little like the land effect in Shining Force, except I don't know that it impacts... No, it does impact movement, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But maybe not quite as much. So, you want to move onto forest spaces when you have the option and you know an enemy is going to attack you, because it raises your defense by 1, and it gives a plus 20% bonus to dodging, which is obviously a really huge kind of bonus to get. And particularly when you're fighting, like, a boss, as this fellow is, then it's really, really handy to get those kinds of bonuses. It increases your chances of survival dramatically.
What was that? Do you think you can take me, wretched lordling? Come, it's time you high and mighty knights learn to respect a true warrior.
Yep, that's gonna happen. You're not gonna just die horribly or anything.
You will be the first to die.
Yeah, no, she'll be the first to dodge and then stab you with a rapier. That's what's going to happen, O'Neill. Hate to break it to you. So let's take a quick look here. If she attacks him, she has a 100% chance to hit, and she will deal 10 damage. If he goes, he has only a 25% chance to hit, and he will deal 9 damage. Generally, when you're fighting a boss, it pays to just let them attack you, because if she attacks and he hits, and then he goes and he attacks and he hits again, that's essentially 2 hits in a row he gets to get off with no opportunity to heal in between. And that is bad, because that would mean she dies and I lose the battle. See, now, she dodged his attack, she counterattacked, and now she gets to go. She will get off the first attack, and because she has 100% chance to hit, there's absolutely no risk of her dying and attacking this guy. He dies just straight up.
What? How? Vanished into nothing.
And look, Eirika levels up. That's handy. Now she's a level 2 lord, with extra skill, speed, luck, and defense. That is actually a fantastic level up. This game is very much like Shining Force. I just skipped all that dialogue. Hope you don't mind. This game is very much like Shining Force in that character level ups are entirely randomized. You never know exactly what your characters are going to get when they level up. Interesting fact about strategy RPG history. I believe the first strategy RPG ever made, at least, you know, in video game form, rather than, you know, being sort of a war game, board game. The first strategy RPG ever created was the original Fire Emblem, Fire Emblem 1, for the original Nintendo Entertainment System, I want to say, like, back in 82 or something, like 1982. It's been a very long time. So, Fire Emblem is not ripping off Shining Force. If anything, it's the other way around. Fire Emblem basically created this entire subgenre. And it's just so brilliantly put together. It's just it's hard to think of anything, have anything but just tremendous respect for the game design that went into this, because it's just so well balanced, and it's just such a good balance too of like risk and clarity. You know, it's everything that annoys me about the Dungeons and Dragons combat system just cleanly taken care of. So this guy over here on the right, Commander Baguette, he's one of my favorite enemies in the game because he sounds like baguette, so I like to imagine that he's French and he fights with a giant baguette.
Huh. They're tenacious, but they have no hope of stopping our advance.
What are your orders, sir?
Ha! Orders! You just stand here and watch. I'll crush them myself.
As you command, sir.
Behold my baguette! It is very stale and thus very hard. Ha, you have died. Ha! That's what happens when you face my baguette!
I don't care that he said lance. He has a baguette. As far as I'm concerned. Stop right there! Call off your forces and turn back, or you'll have me to deal with.
Is that so? And who might you be?
I am Tana, Princess of Frelia. I will not permit you to abuse my country any longer.
Frelia's royal brat, huh? How convenient.
Leave this castle immediately. If you harm me, my father and brother will chase you to the earth's end.
Yes, I've heard how King Haydn dotes on his precious little daughter. Let's see how true that is. You'll make us a fine hostage, my dear. Seize the girl and lock her up.
Right away, sir. No, let me go! And that's the end of Tana. Just kidding, she's not dead or anything. Actually, we recruit her after this battle, and she's kind of awesome. I don't know if she fights immediately, but eventually she starts fighting for you. You know what? Actually, I remember that wrong. We don't recruit her after this battle. We recruit her later. But just take my word for it, she's awesome. When you get her, you should use her, because she makes a fantastic, fantastic Pegasus Knight. So, this area they're in right here is called Mulan, which I think is kind of funny. I mean, you know, just because of the Disney movie. Ironically, I bypassed Mulan. I never even saw that movie. So I am just like Seth wants to be. Of course, they're not going to do that, because why would they go to the trouble of creating a battle that you just straight up don't even fight? Answer, they wouldn't. So, fun fact, you can visit these little houses. I'm going to have Seth do that right now. Sometimes they just have little tips. So this guy's about to tell us about how handy it is to put characters on these little fort spaces that you can see dotted around. I'm actually going to have Eirika move towards... She can't actually move the full way, but I'm going to have her move to this fort here and just sort of stand there, which is a really good thing to do. So, you're probably noticing right now that it's really handy that I can see the limits of these guys' movement range. If I move Eirika right here, it'll move her much closer to the fort, and only that axe-wielding soldier will be able to reach her.
Is that the Princess of Renais? Ha! It really is my lucky day! Fame and fortune ride to meet me! Move on, you slugs! Bring that girl to me!
And the enemy makes a beeline for Eirika, but predictably misses and gets skewered like a shish kebab. Sir Gilliam, is that Mulan? Have we reached Frelia's border already? I bet that's a girl. Sorry, that was a terrible joke. I'm gonna stop making Mulan jokes now. Although I will say this. I think it's really funny that this guy here is from the Eastern Watch, and he's in charge of Mulan. I mean, that's like a really cheesy joke, if that's actually, like, meant to be about, like, the movie Mulan. That's all I'm saying. Eastern Watch, Mulan. Yeah. You do the math, viewers. So, as you can see, forts provide even better defense than forests, and the same avoidance bonus, plus they heal your characters every single turn, which is awesome. Speaking of awesome, Franz here is a fantastic cavalier. As you can see, he is a sort of cavalry unit. He has really high movement. He has pretty good strength, decent defense. He's not, like, amazing at this point, but he is pretty good, and he gets much, much better if you level him up. He's an excellent unit to stick with throughout the game. Also, he has a really cool... Here, let me see if I can find it. Yeah, maybe not. Well, I guess it doesn't show there, but like all cavalry units, he has this really cool ability where he can pick up and rescue units that are in danger. So this guy here is just telling us that... I guess I'll just tell you about this other unit type. Gilliam here is a knight. Knights have really high defense generally, and that's sort of... Yeah, you can see they're wearing huge, heavy armor, but that's just sort of a visual representation of their really high defense. This guy here, Baguette, has the same high defense as Gilliam, and the only weapons that reliably pierce that defense, at least at the lower levels, are weapons like rapiers and armor slayers, at least among the swords. So she should do just fine sitting on this thing. See, that guy has only an 18% chance to hit while she's on that fort, which is really bad. That's like horrible chance to hit. I wouldn't have even bothered attacking if I were him. But whatever. Her weapon level increased. So weapon level is another thing. Really? You're gonna attack Franz? That seems only mildly suicidal. Particularly given that he is also on top of a fort. The AI in this is pretty good, but it's not amazing. Like, I wouldn't expect miracles out of it or anything. Although it is far and away, I mean, it just like massively outclasses the AI that you see in Shining Force. Which is part of why I don't entirely accept the, oh, there were limitations on the technology excuse. Because this was on, I think this was on Game Boy Advanced. Like, the graphics don't look good enough for this to be a DS game. And, frankly, if you can do pretty good AI on a Game Boy Advanced, there's no reason you can't do it on a Sega Genesis. I'm sorry. And there's Franz kicking the crap out of a lance-wielding soldier. Nicely done, Franz. Man, the enemies are all just going for him, rather than Eirika, which I find really curious. That is, I mean, they're never going to win the battle attacking him. And as you can see, there's the fort doing its magical healing thing. I don't like that they're all attacking Franz. I wonder how far these guys can move. Okay, he can move there. He can move there. And he can move there. Well, can they move up there? Yeah... Okay. I think she'll be okay if I move her up here, because I really want Eirika to be killing all these guys. She has to level up a lot early in order to remain useful for the remainder of the game. I mean, I suppose you could just not level her up and then just wait till way later to do any leveling, but generally speaking, that's not a great idea. For obvious reasons. So I think this is the only guy who will be able to actually get to Eirika this turn. Unless she just straight up kills him. Oh, well okay. In that case, someone else will get to her, but that's fine. She can withstand a hit without too much trouble. Whoa, critical! God, I love the animations in this game. The sprite work is just so stellar. It's really impressive stuff, and it's a big part of what made me want to add sprites to telepath tactics. It's just how good these look. Ah, another awesome critical hit from Eirika. I just think it's really impressive, and I love that style too. So here's another thing about the game. You can have characters talk to each other, and they'll have this little dialogue on the battlefield. And I'll only read this if characters have interesting dialogue. Those particular characters really don't. But the cool thing about the dialogue system is that when characters talk to each other enough on the battlefield, I think that's what it is, they talk to each other a lot, then they build up a relationship bonus. So, like, the more characters talk to each other, the better the bonus they get for fighting in proximity to each other. That's basically the gist. Man, these enemies just hate Franz. They will just take any chance they can to attack him, no matter how hard an idea it is. And here's Franz getting a pretty darn good level up there. Very nice. And Eirika's going to heal a little. I'm just going to do a quick save state here, folks. One thing I really appreciate about Fire Emblem is the fact that it lets you just zoom through the turns if you are not going to be doing anything. Like, as you can see, it doesn't do the whole Shining Force thing where it shows every single enemy one after another, right? And it doesn't make you go through all of your characters either. It's very respectful of the player's time. You can also see that in just the layout of this map. If you compare it to, say, the second battle in the original Shining Force, I mean, there are some pretty huge differences you can notice immediately. Wide open areas with no movement penalties, a relatively compact map so that you're not traveling huge distances with no action. I mean, this is like good design. This is something that's designed by someone who's thought very carefully about the player experience and doesn't want to waste people's time. And I think that's a very important thing to do in a game, is not waste people's time, right? You have to respect the player. Players have a limited amount of time to be playing, and you want them to be spending that time making interesting decisions, facing interesting challenges, and not just moving 2 steps at a time, very, very slowly over rough terrain. Now, that isn't to say that Fire Emblem never strays into that territory, because there are a couple battles, but I mean, it happens much less frequently than it does in, say, Shining Force. Okay, one more save state, and Eirika is off to battle the big bad boss. So you may recall our strategy from last time. We do not, I repeat, do not want to attack this guy. We want to let him attack us, because he has a 72% chance to deal 12 damage to Eirika. That's much better than half, and it only takes 2 hits for her to die with that kind of damage, given her relatively low hit points. And that's the other thing too, is like, although she will kill him in her 2 attacks that she has, she only has a 70% chance to hit, so it's entirely possible that one of them will miss, which means he has a chance to just straight up kill her on his next turn. It's not really worth the risk. Much better is to wait, let him attack, and then let Eirika hopefully finish him off with her 2 attacks in response to that. Bah, what a worthless lot of curs I've been assigned! Well, he misses with the baguette, and Eirika goes in for the kill. Nicely done. This can't be, I am dead. Ugh. And Eirika levels up again. She is now a level 5 Lord, and another defense increase. Very good to have. Normally, she's very slow to gain defense, which can be a real liability, but her defense has increased pretty reliably so far, which I appreciate, even if her speed has not increased as much as I would like. Okay, blah blah blah. Eirika, is that really you? Yeah, what are you doing? I heard it was fine. I was worried, but I was glad you're safe. Wait, where's Ephraim? Is he? Well, I wish I knew. You haven't heard from him. I hope he's not harmed. My dad, thank you, blah blah. Alright. Awesome. Eirika and her companions have liberated the border castle. Alongside Princess Tana of Frelia, they ride to the Frelian capital. Alright folks, I hope you've enjoyed watching this. We are going to pick this up again in the next episode. I am Craig Stern of Sinister Design, and this has been a Sinister playthrough of Fire Emblem: The Sacred Stones.